Angel Dogs by Leanne Joshua. Not very long ago, in a part of the world that has mountains and oceans and lots of rain, lived two dachshunds named Copper and Slate. They lived with their mother and father. Well, not their real mother and father. Because you see, Copper and Slate were adopted when they were just puppies. But their adopted mom and dad loved them just as much as if they had been their own children. Copper and Slate were 12 years old, which is not as young as they used to be, but not old either. And Mom got really mad at people when they looked at the gray hairs on Copper and Slate's muzzles and said, "How old are they?" Because to her, they would always be her puppies. And every day of every year of their life, Mom had been sure of one thing: Copper and Slate were angel dogs. At first, Dad didn't believe it. After all, they had never saved anyone from a burning building, and they were too short to help guide people who couldn't see, and sometimes they acted like devils, especially when they peed on the living room carpet because they thought it was too cold outside. But Mom knew. She knew you didn't have to be a hero to be an angel dog. She knew you could even behave like a devil sometimes and still be an angel dog. She knew that Copper, the red dachshund, was an angel dog because he purred when she rubbed his ears. Yes, dogs do purr. Saved all his kisses for Mom and Dad and never kissed anyone else. Snored loudly when he slept. Refused to get up in the mornings until he had had all the love he deserved. Stood at his dog bowl and said as clear as day, "I know you think I've had enough food, but I disagree." Outsmarted his brother when they played chase, barked at everything just in case it was important, had the three most precious and valuable diamonds in the world right there on his chest. Had a tail that looked like someone had dipped it in white paint. Had paws that smelled like popcorn. Could say more with one look than most people could say in their whole lives. Never met a trash can he didn't want to dump over. Slate, the black and tan dachshund, was an angel dog for completely different reasons, including because he wagged his tail so hard when Mom and Dad came home that he nearly fell down. Despite years of failing, still believed in his heart that he could catch a squirrel. Wouldn't go to sleep at night unless he was curled under his mom's arm. Insisted on having his teeth brushed before going to bed at night. Kept Mom company when she worked on the computer by lying on the love seat and watching her. Knew when anyone was getting food out of the refrigerator, no matter how quiet they were about it. Had a muzzle that smelled like a field of flowers. Decided when it was time to stop a walk by sitting down in the middle of the road and refusing to budge. Played with stuffed animals, tossing them over his head and catching them in the air. Wouldn't eat his dinner until he threw his dog dish all around the kitchen like a big hockey puck. Now, these may not sound like the things you think of when you think of angels, but Mom knew that every morning Copper and Slate made her happy to wake up and happy to greet the day, and every day she and Dad had fun and laughter and tears because of Copper and Slate. And that's what angels do, isn't it? So finally Dad agreed. In fact, he bought Copper and Slate halos and wings from the pet store. He put them on and took their pictures. Of course, they rubbed and rolled and tried to get them off, but they didn't fool Mom and Dad. They knew Copper and Slate were angels, just like you know that you're an angel too.